Nice to see you. Well, a little bit about me. The instructions I got were a bit willy-nilly, but I'll just more or less follow them, and we'll see how it goes. That is the lovely Isabel, and she and I have been married for 41 years. I was a little disappointed that Gordy missed the fact that we started dating 46 years ago this past July. But anyway, there we go. We were both 17, met at camp. There it was. But she has been my life partner and also worked with me in the Salvation Army as co-pastor for most of that time. And there's the whole family. My daughter on the right there is also a Salvation Army pastor up in Salmon Arm. And the little one whose head is peeking out beside her is my youngest daughter, who's a photographer. My son in the back there is a police officer in Port Elgin. My other son on the far left is like a wholesaler of like a sales rep for a security and lock company. Hard to describe exactly what it is he does, but anyways, he does that kind of thing. And then the other young woman there is my middle daughter, Marcy, who's a counseling therapist and works for the Salvation Army in Toronto. And so that's them. And if you thought you were going to get away without seeing all my grandchildren, then you're not a grandparent, but they're there and they're lovely. I was born in Dawson Creek, not right in the creek, but we had this little a replica of this little post in our home for many, many years. My mother just gave it to me, just a little wooden replica about that high. I've never been back to Dawson Creek since I was 7 months old and we moved away. But if I ever go, I'll take a picture of me in front of that thing.
Mile zero.
Mile zero on the Alaska Highway, that's correct, yeah. I should have said so. My great-grandmother was a Salvation Army officer back in the 1890s. That's her on the right, Nancy. And beside her is her sister, Minnie. And the interesting thing about Minnie is that she married a guy named John Travis Barker, and that's why my first name today is Travis. I'm actually Travis Mark. And so there's a little piece of trivia for you if you ever come over to the Wagner household. She eventually married my great-grandfather, Frank Wagner, who was a blacksmith and a veterinarian, and an inventor of the Wagner bumper. If you ever go to the Burnaby Village Museum, you'll see his Wagner bumper shop recreated. And I guess the original Model Ts didn't have bumpers or something, so there it is. My grandfather and grandmother were also officers in the Salvation Army, and that's him holding the trombone, my grandpa, and in the other hand, a concertina. Have you ever seen a concertina up close? I had his concertina for a little while in my house, and I tried to figure out how to play it. It's ridiculous, I'll tell you. And he used to play it, they tell me, this is how you played them. It's like a little tiny button accordion on buttons on both sides, and when you played it, you'd swing it around like this. And it would sort of give that sort of an echo effect or something to the thing. So anyway, he was very musical. He was also a really wonderful piano player. That's my mom and dad, also officers of the Salvation Army. And they served for 42 years before they retired. Oh, that's me. I studied theology for a long time. And most of my life, however, has just been as a pastor. And I don't have very many pictures of me preaching, I discovered when I started to look. So that's from a few years ago when I was in Burnaby. And I spent a little time as the Dean of the School of Continuing Studies at Luke University College. And so there was that. Hobbies, I've played a brass instrument with the Salvation Army for many, many years. That's a cornet. That's a soprano cornet, pitched in E-flat, but I have my own cornet, which is a B-flat instrument, like most of them are. And I bought that when I was 15 years old, so coming up 50 years ago, and it's still working just fine. And that's me playing the piano. I think my daughter is on the other side singing a song. I also have very few pictures of me playing the piano, as it turns out. And I think that's about all. I'm just going to say that I've been with Rotary maybe 16 or 17 years. Probably someone who has the website can tell me. In London and in Toronto, in Ajax, in Victoria, and here. So there it is. Any questions? Short and sweet.
Are your grandkids going to also be part of Salvation Army?
That's so far. How can they escape?
What about the process? Did you make a personal decision to, be a pastor in the Salvation Army, or was it great-grandpa did it, or grandpa did it, or dad did it?
Oh. No, you pretty much have to choose. Well, you have to be called, I think, into that kind of work, and yeah, you can't just do it because your father did it.
So how did that happen for you?
How did it happen? Well, I guess I did grow up watching my father. He was my pastor for the first 18 years, and but I was looking at all sorts of things. I thought maybe I might go into music at one point, but yeah, eventually I just sensed a leading to go into pastoral work, and so that's where I went.
Mark, you said your wife was your not only spouse but co-worker, and I think that's kind of typical in the Salvation Army. You might want to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
Would every Salvation Army pastor have a spouse that was beside him?
Oh, the married ones, I guess, yeah. Yeah, for a long time you had to only marry another Salvation Army officer. You don't have to anymore. You could pursue that, and your wife or husband could be doing something else.
Your wife was a Salvation Army officer when you got married?
No, we got married before that, but we both had obviously talked about that before we got married. Yeah.
We could crank out the ranks from the top to from the bottom up to the top.
Crank out the ranks. There used to be a lot of ranks, but now they've pared them down. You come out as a lieutenant, after, let's see, 5 years you become a captain, after 15 years you become a major, and that's about it, unless you move into administration, and then it's lieutenant, colonel, and commissioner. Commissioners leads the country. And there's a general in London, England. We're in 132 countries, or 133. Am I done?
Yeah, you'll be around, and I think Bert has a question.
Oh, sorry.
Yes, how many places have you been with the Salvation Army for any length of time?
Me personally?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Well, not just for a day, but, stay.
To live, between my parents moving about and me moving about, well, let's see, it was Dawson Creek, Edmonton, Powell River, Penticton, Regina, St. John, New Brunswick, Toronto, Brantford, back to Toronto, Sackville, Nova Scotia, London, Ontario, back to Toronto, Victoria, let's see, Ajax, Burnaby, I'm almost done. Let me think. Winnipeg, Toronto, back to here.
I have a follow-up question.
Yeah.
What was the reason for you from one place to another place? Were you so popular? Or?
No, they didn't like me. Yeah, it's a tradition that is changing. It used to be, when I have my great-grandmother's record of service, and she sometimes moved 3 times in 1 year. So, that at least has changed a bit.
Okay, just one question. What is the reason that the Salvation Army want you people to move so often? It seems to me that you may be more connected with the community if you stay longer.
Yeah, no, I think you're correct. And our longest stay was 7 years and was on the island. And I think that we did connect longer there, better there, having stayed longer. I don't know, ask the bank managers why they keep moving them around.
Okay, thanks very much, Mark.